1800 hours, Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Farzana Khan. First, the headlines. Prime Minister is meeting with the world leaders and heads of organizations on the sidelines of 77th session of United Nations General Assembly in New York today. Foreign Minister has stressed the need for collective and urgent action to build back better in a greener and climate-resistant manner. Chief of Army Staff says international partners' assistance is vital for rescue and rehabilitation of the flood-affected people in Pakistan. Minister of State for Foreign Affairs says Parliament in Pakistan takes protection of human rights of all citizens, particularly of minorities, seriously. The OIC contact group on Jammu and Kashmir in its meeting on the sidelines of the 77th session of UN General Assembly in New York called for unrestricted access of UN global media and independent observers to Indian illegally occupied territory. Indian Muslim group Popular Front has condemned fascist Modi regime's acts of raids, unjust arrests, harassment and witch hunting of Muslims. The second T20 international match between Pakistan and England will be played at National Stadium, Karachi today. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif will hold several meetings with the world leaders and heads of organizations on the sidelines of 77th UN General Assembly session in New York today. The Prime Minister will hold bilateral meetings with Prime Minister of Belgium, Alexander De Croo, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, and Prime Minister of Malaysia, Ismail Sabri Yaqoob. Before leaving for the United Nations headquarters, Bill Gates, the co-founder of Melinda Bill Gates Foundation, will call on Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif. The Prime Minister will have a meeting with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres at the UN headquarters. Shahbaz Sharif will visit the photo exhibition on floods in Pakistan organized at the UN Secretariat lobby by Pakistan's mission in New York. Later, the Prime Minister will be interviewed by Ms. Edith Lederer of the Associated Press, AP-TV. Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif has expressed his gratitude to the President of the United States, Joe Biden, for highlighting the plight of flood victims in Pakistan and urging the world for an immediate response. In a tweet today, the Prime Minister said Pakistan is facing the ravages of unprecedented floods. He said the calls of stranded women and children for help need to be heeded too. In another tweet, Shahbaz Sharif said his discussions with the top officials of IMF and World Bank in New York have focused on making resources available within our existing programs for post-flood reconstruction. Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif has also expressed thanks to UN Special Envoy Angelina Jolie and other unsung heroes for becoming voice of millions of people whose lives and livelihood have been destroyed by the raging flood waters. In a tweet today, the Prime Minister said, "We will forever remember their empathy and compassion for suffering humanity." Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari has called for a green Marshall Plan to assist and support the climate-vulnerable countries. Addressing a closed-door leaders' roundtable on COP27 in New York, he highlighted the devastation caused by the recent climate-induced floods in Pakistan. He noted that the loss to the economy was expected to run over $30 billion. Foreign Minister stressed the need for collective and urgent action to build back better in a greener and climate-resilient manner. Meanwhile, talking to the Hungarian counterpart Peter Szijjar on the sidelines of the 77th session of UN General Assembly in New York, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari said Hungary can take advantage of investor-friendly climate in Pakistan and enter into joint ventures with Pakistani companies, especially in special economic zones. He emphasized for enhancing bilateral trade and economic relations between the two countries. Chief of Army Staff General Qamar Javed Bajwa says assistance of international partners is vital for rescue and rehabilitation of the flood-affected people in Pakistan. He was talking to Ambassador of Japan, Pada Michihiro, who called on him in Rawalpindi today. During the meeting, matters of mutual interest, regional security situation, and collaboration in humanitarian measures were discussed. Turkey has dispatched two more kindness trains loaded with relief goods for victims of the catastrophic floods in Pakistan. The 8th and 9th trains, carrying 1,040 tons of disaster relief goods, including food and hygiene products, left the capital Ankara today. The send-off ceremony was attended by Pakistan's ambassador to Ankara, Mohammad Sajjad Qazi, and Vice President of Disaster Response at AFAD, Onda Bozkurt. Speaking at the ceremony, Sajjad Qazi thanked the Turkish people who are standing with Pakistan in the country's time of need. This is Radio Pakistan giving you the news. Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Hina Rabbani Khair says Pakistan attaches importance to protection and promotion of the rights of minorities. Talking to U.S. Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom, Rashad Hussain, in New York, she said Parliament of Pakistan takes the protection of human rights of all citizens, including the minorities, very seriously. Hina Rabbani Khair pointed out that growing intolerance, rising extremism and persecution of minorities in India and its continued repression against Kashmiris in illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir should be a matter of grave concern for international community, particularly the U.S. Rashad Hussain appreciated Pakistan's continued engagement with the U.S. on issues related to religious freedom. In the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, India's notorious state investigation agency, backed by Indian Army and police, have arrested over 100 innocent people during the ongoing crackdown across the occupied territory. According to Kashmir Media Service, among those arrested include religious scholars, Hurriyat activists, and Jamaat-e-Islami members. A court in Jammu issued a production warrant against Jammu and Kashmir Liberation Front chief Muhammad Yasin Malik, directing the authorities of New Delhi's infamous Tihar jail to produce him physically before the court on the next date of hearing in last week of October in a fake case. Meanwhile, the OIC contact group on Jammu and Kashmir, in a declaration issued after its meeting on the sidelines of the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, called for unrestricted access of the UN, global media, and independent observers to Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. In Geneva, Kashmiri representatives, while speaking on Item 3, General Debate in the United Nations Human Rights Council, said the unresolved Kashmir dispute has become a nuclear flashpoint in South Asia due to massive human rights violations by the Indian forces in the occupied territory. In India, Modi's government, in a major crackdown against Muslim group Popular Front, has arrested over 100 leaders and activists from 11 different states on charges of terror activities. The raids were conducted on the homes of national, state, and local leaders of PFI. The state committee office is also being raided. Indian Muslim group Popular Front has condemned Indian fascist Modi regime's acts of raids, unjust arrests, harassment, and witch hunting of Muslims by the National Investigation Agency across the country. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has committed $1.27 billion to meet global goals in the fields of health and development. According to the press release issued by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, $912 million have been pledged to help end HIV, tuberculosis, and malaria by 2030 and build resilient health systems needed to protect against future pandemics. Russia and Ukraine have swapped nearly 300 prisoners in a major breakthrough today, including 10 foreigners and the commanders. The foreigners released include 5 Britons, 2 Americans, a Croatian, a Swedish, and a Moroccan who were captured fighting for Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Turkey and Saudi Arabia helped to reach the swap agreement. He said 215 Ukrainians were released. And now, cricket. The second T20 international match between Pakistan and England will be played at National Stadium, Karachi, this evening. The match will start at 7:30 p.m. Pakistan Standard Time. England lead the 7-month match series by 1-0. And now the weather report. Mainly dry weather is likely to prevail over most parts of the country, while hot in central and southern parts during the next 12 hours. And that is the end of the news. For more news and analyses, log on to our website radio.gov.pk and also watch live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.